As we've been mentioning, early voting already underway in most of the 50 states, including the all-important battleground state of Florida, where the latest CBS News Battleground Tracker shows this: Hillary Clinton ahead of Donald Trump by 3 points. Now, with fewer than 2 weeks remaining until Election Day, we're getting a look at some early voting results, such as they are. CBS News Elections Director Anthony Salvanto has been looking into these numbers and what they may or may not be telling us here, Anthony. So what is it exactly that you're finding?
Well, first of all, everybody should know how much early vote there's going to be. Florida is going to be over half, as it'll be about 56-57% cast before November 8th. And look, in a lot of respects, this election is going to be decided before November 8th, because what happens is the Democrats have won the early voting in Florida, in a lot of these states in the last couple of years. If they don't run up their numbers and build a big enough lead in early voting, they probably won't make it up on Election Day. So that's a big key. What we see already is, number one, more women voting than men. Now,
56 to 44% at this point.
Right. So if you look at that, you can get the figures for who's voted. You can look at that on the voter file. Now, offhand, you might think, well, we know women are more in favor of Hillary Clinton, so maybe that's good for her. On the other hand, they tend to be older women. In fact, the voting, early voting overall is a little bit older, and so that might actually go towards Donald Trump, because he's winning among older voters in all the polling.
Now, this is, when we hear references, however oblique, to ground game, this is really what we're talking about specifically in states like Florida. This is what we've heard the Clinton campaign was ready for, and perhaps the Trump campaign was not. Are we seeing that manifest itself now?
Well, that is exactly right. Early voting is an organizing task. You shouldn't think of it as these are votes in the bank and these will be added to what you get on Election Day. What it really is better to call it convenience voting. So how do you make it convenient for a voter to do this? Well, you get those volunteers and they go and they knock on the doors. They have lists. They use the voter files and they know who's voted before. Okay, well, that person might turn out. We think they're a Democrat. We think they're a Republican. Go get them. Go tell them where they can early vote. So that kind of organizing, where people have to be helped along a little bit, and many people do, they're busy, right? So that's where the ground game really matters. We saw that in the last two cycles with the Obama campaign. Whether or not Clinton can replicate that is an open question, but that certainly puts a premium on it.
We have heard it theorized perhaps that Donald Trump's campaign strategy of late was to look to depress Democratic turnout. We then had that synthesized and wondered perhaps if his rhetoric was in fact going to depress Republican turnout. Based on what we are seeing then to this point with regard to early voting, how does the turnout rate compare to elections past?
No, it looks strong. It looks strong. There are votes coming in. They're coming in some places at a faster rate than they were in 2012. A caution, though, does that just mean that people who would have voted on Election Day anyway just decide, hey, it's more convenient for me to vote by mail? That doesn't mean that turnout overall is going to go up. It might mean people are just choosing to vote this way. That's something we won't know until November 8th.
We see a Bloomberg poll out that has Donald Trump up 2 on Hillary Clinton. However, we also see that poll as a part of the Real Clear Politics average that shows Hillary Clinton up by 2 or 3 points in Florida. So essentially, it looks as though everything is existing within the margin of error, if nothing else. But Donald Trump specifically, in bemoaning an election process that he has seen has rigged, he has now sort of moved those crosshairs onto polling and has suggested that polls that we're seeing now are phony. It has been the cry of the person behind in those polls through most modern American political history. But what do you make of his suggestion that the polls are lending themselves to a rigged process?
This is the life of a pollster around election time, right? The people who are trailing want to say that you're wrong, and the people who are leading want to say that you're wrong too, because they don't want their voters to get complacent and go, oh, my candidate's going to win, so forget it, I won't turn out. So everybody wants to say you're wrong. Look, the fact is that most polls overall get this thing right. We did throughout the primaries this year. This year in particular, there's been a lot of talk about people that polls might be missing. That, you know, Donald Trump likes to say, his campaign, sometimes Clinton too, that there are voters out there who don't take polls and are going to show up late and come out there. We don't see any evidence of that right now.
What about the people that we've heard that may not want to tell a pollster, either in person or over a phone, that they are willing to support Donald Trump, especially as regards now the use of online polling, which allows people to essentially remain anonymous while taking polls?
Well, exactly. And here's the thing. We have data on this, and it's the primaries. And in primary after primary, a lot of people said, in the case of Donald Trump, oh, they're not going to tell pollsters they're voting for him. Well, they did. He was leading in all of those polls, and then he won primary after primary. Then this year, we've asked the question, who are your friends and family voting for? Are you talking to them about that? Are they trying to change your mind? And in all those cases, people are out there talking about voting for who they're for, Trump and Clinton. And the theory is, well, if they're going to talk about it, why not tell a pollster? Why not if you're telling your friends and family too? So people are proud of their vote. People are behind their candidate. So again, there's no evidence that they're being shy about it.
13 more days to Election Day means 13 more days of that guy.
Oh, goodness.
Anthony Salvanto, as always. We appreciate it.